Welcome back to the Lap Podcast. I am Tristan Rines alongside the one and only Khaki Kevin Walker, hosting your Destination Formula One podcast. We are following the Belgian Grand Prix, a Grand Prix that admittedly could have just been an email, but there's still so much to talk about. Lewis Hamilton from the pit lane to the points. Max Verstappen is going to be staying put at Red Bull. We're going to be previewing the Hungarian Grand Prix and much, much more. Before we get this thing started, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It helps support the channel. It costs you absolutely nothing at all. We just crossed the 74 mark. 74 subscribers on YouTube. The TikTok, the Instagram, those things are also both growing. Go give us a follow on both of those if you're feeling dangerous. And join the rest of the TLPs in this amazing community. Anything you want to add, Kevin? I figured you might want to say something,
Yeah, I would like to say that you starting off with, you could have just kind of like CC'd me on an email on, hey, by the way, I know Formula One's back, but Piastri is going to go ahead and win this weekend. I'd been like, gotcha. Which honestly, like, is the perfect segue because I kind of feel like that's exactly what it was. Like, I felt like,
this was a pretty boring race by all accounts.
Well, not only was it a boring race, but like Formula One themselves didn't really hype it up either. It was kind of like, hey, it is race week, but like kind of do whatever it is that you're going to do anyway. Like it just felt like a very like, yes, Formula One was back, but it also just kind of felt like
we had a kind of chunky break between the British Grand Prix to Belgium, and after the Hungaroring, which we're going to see this weekend, we have the official summer break. So it's like we got a mini summer break and an actual like, summer break's creeping up on us already.
Yeah, but I say all that to say because like TLPs let us know maybe we were just kind of like in a slug or whatever, but it kind of felt like it was like, yeah, it is race week, but it's like there wasn't any hype to it for some reason.
There wasn't as much news going around that weekend, right? There wasn't as much controversy. There wasn't like an interesting storyline. Like the Max Verstappen stuff, it kind of fizzled. It just wasn't a terribly interesting buildup. But like, and then the race itself was kind of blah. Like we saw the rain in the forecast, and we're like, oh, clapping hands together.
This is gonna make it interesting.
This is going to make things interesting.
But the problem was that the rain was so bad, we couldn't race in the rain. It was like, hey, the rain's so bad, we're just going to have to wait. And the race got pushed back.
Up and down the paddock, you get different reactions as to who liked the rain, who didn't like the delay, who cared, who didn't. Like Max thought they should have been racing 30 minutes earlier. Liam Lawson, big fan of the delay. He had a pretty solid race day. So, for him, not a big deal. But like, I was out of town for this race weekend, so we didn't have an official reaction posted. I know Kevin was kind of tied up as well, but we did watch everything from this race weekend. Let's start off with the sprint race. Max's sprint win, getting the Lauren Mecky's era underway with an absolute W. That's pretty huge. Strong pass over Oscar Piastri to take the feature race, and that was kind of the big highlight there. There wasn't anything super massive. Qualifying for the sprint, lackluster for both Ferrari and Mercedes. Kimi Antonelli, getting washed out, so to speak, washed out wide towards the end of his lap. Lewis Hamilton just couldn't quite put things together either. Both those guys struggled towards the end of SQ1, had a really poor qualifying as well. But yeah, sprint race, more or less kind of uneventful besides the lap one pass, right? Which, as the McLaren resident fan here, a little unfortunate to watch your boy get passed and neither of your guys win for the first time in a little while.
I kind of felt like going into the weekend that it was really Piastri's to lose. Going into the break, it was all talks were all Lando. It was Piastri getting screwed over here and there. Piastri's pissed off about this, but Lando was there to take the win. And so I kind of had a feeling, I was like, there's no way that Piastri's going to lose. He's too fired up. He's too pissed. He's too, like, I've been wronged way too many times. I'm just going to go guns blazing and I'm going to go win this weekend, whatever it takes.
Which was like my big takeaway walking out of the British Grand Prix was that the next 2 weekends were going to be Piastri's, balls to the wall. He's gonna bring it.
Exactly.
And that's surprising he didn't get the sprint win, but he still rounded the podium, if I'm not mistaken. And the McLaren still, they still performed pretty well. But then
McLaren grabbed 2-3 in the sprint. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the feature race happens though, and Oscar Piastri righted those wrongs and did it on your boy.
Yeah.
Lando Norris had a hell of a lap. Great qualifying lap for him. Another disappointment if you're Ferrari or Mercedes for Antonelli and Hamilton again, who just struggled to put things together. But for all intents and purposes, Lando Norris was proven the doubters wrong, right? With that good qualifying lap. And then race day happens.
I would say that's the only thing that kind of made me think oh, maybe Lando will give this a try. Because like I said, going into it, is this is going to be Piastri's to lose. It's going to be Oscar's weekend. And then Lando grabs pole, and I'm like, okay, maybe.
He had a lot of things in his favor. It's not like they had to jump off the line. They started behind the safety car. He got a rolling start. And to lose P1 in that fashion, I don't know, man. It feels like it's an encapsulation of Lando's season where it's almost like he's found ways to lose out on some of these opportunities at times. And a historic marker for him is losing pole position on turn 1, right? That was the meme that followed him for a long time before he started having some success last year into this year. And it's not to say that Lando, of course, isn't fantastic and talented, but he had everything in his corner, and losing it within the first 5 turns at Spa, I don't know. It feels very lackluster. This feels like one to forget, even though he got a second place, right?
It was almost kind of like Lando tuned into the lap podcast, and he was like, "Yeah, you're right. This is Oscar's weekend." So he just kind of "Here, Oscar, here you go."
Yeah. So Lando's again held on to P2. Then Charles Leclerc did everything he could to hold off Max, secured his 5th podium of the season in the feature race format. Verstappen held on to P4, Russell back there in P5. Sketchy weekend for Mercedes. That was about as much as I think they could really muster. Alex Albon held off Lewis Hamilton. Hell of a drive by Alex Albon, by the way, one of your boys in the Williams. Lewis with an absolute charge, by the way, though. With an absolute charge, by the way, Lewis had a hell of a drive, to give him a lot of credit, going from the pit lane all the way to P7 on track with a very ballsy call at the time to go to the slicks. And then it just everybody down the grid around the order saw what Lewis was doing on those slicks, how he was able to handle things very quickly, and he was able to just rise on up the ranks.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Before we get to Rachel Race, from now until launch day, how much better of a driver do you think Lewis Hamilton will be once he comes back and Grand Theft Auto is released?
What? What kind of question is that?
You didn't see this?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
This skipped your Formula One Twitter timeline.
It did.
Okay. Lewis Hamilton said that he would miss work. His words. He would miss work to play Grand Theft Auto when the new one comes out because of how much he loves it.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, here's the play. If you're Ferrari, or if you're a Ferrari fan,
because isn't it?
You wait this thing out. You're not waiting for new regulations. This is not what we're not. This is not what this is about. We're waiting for Grand Theft Auto. Okay, we're waiting for GTA. So here's what we're doing. Okay, we're gonna ride this thing along as far as we can. We're gonna wait for GTA's release. Maybe get him the early cover. Hell, he is Lewis Hamilton. Okay, so let's get him the early game.
I'm sure he knows.
Let's give him a week off. Let's give him a week or two. Let's give him some time off. We'll call it an injury. And then he's going to come back fresher than ever. Boom. World champion once again.
Here's my question, though, is do you think Lewis Hamilton actually plays video games? With how busy this man is, you think that this guy sits down and is like, you know what? Today I'm feeling like Trevor. Today I'm feeling like Michael. Today I'm feeling like Franklin. You think he sits down and just, do you think he's an online player? You think he hops into the online lobby and just ruins kids' days?
It seems like all these guys are. So to be honest, why
But
would
like all
Lewis
the
be
other
any
guys will
different?
play like racing games, right? Like all the other guys will
Right.
do like iRacing. Like you'll see Kimi Antonelli, you'll see Max Verstappen, you'll see Lando, Charles. Like you'll see them all doing the iRacing thing in their downtime. But you because I know that Lewis isn't a big gamer, at least not in the racing realm. He prefers
He's
to do
not also
everything
a
on
big.
track,
He's also not a big car guy either.
which is kind of surprising, right? But I just can't imagine Lewis Hamilton sitting behind the sticks for more than like, I don't know, like 5 hours for one time, just to be like, oh, I played it. It was fun. I walked around. I caused some chaos. I broke some laws, but I just don't imagine Lewis Hamilton as a gamer.
Look,
I just can't
I'm just reporting the facts here. Okay.
All right.
So,
well, he did. But look,
I'll try to see if I can find the quote.
But here, smooth transition. He did game the hell out of the switch from the intermediates to slicks. So great timing for him. I don't know if Ferrari are going to give him time off to play GTA 6 like the rest of the world is hoping. No, I'm sorry. It's just that dude's so locked into winning.
You don't think Fred Vasseur is going to be like, look, okay.
I think that kind of thing, with all due respect to Lewis, is like, oh, I can reach the gaming community if I reference a video game. You know what I mean? I feel like.
Oh, you think this is a media play? I think
it's a little bit of PR. I think it might be a little bit of PR marketing. What if he's in it?
Look,
he was in Call of Duty. I know he dabbles.
I'm dying for the new Grand Theft Auto to come out. I will cancel work.
Work for him is probably like work for him. I feel like it's probably like some kind of media obligation or a photo shoot or a guest appearance or something like that. That dude loves getting behind the wheel. But all right, let's go ahead and rate this race. We got to bring this thing back in. Blah blah. Down the order though. I wanted to highlight a couple more people. By the way, no DNFs this race.
Very interesting.
Yeah, there were no DNFs this race. Isaac Hadjar had a really irregular race day. He finished in dead last, a lap down from everybody else. Ollie Behrman just missed the points. Antonelli with a rough weekend. You know, pit lane to P16 is it's not desirable, but it's not nothing. Franco Colapinto didn't crash, right? So that's something. And then Aston Martin had an absolutely abysmal weekend. They had their worst qualifying performance ever. So rating this race, I gave it like a 4 out of 10, fam. It wasn't as exciting as I think I wanted it to be.
What's the difference?
We had a 90-minute weather delay. The fun fact trivia from this is that we had 3 people on the podium with the same amount of wins. Lando's got 8 wins. Oscar's got 8 wins. Charles has 8 wins. And then the guy waving the checkered flag, Jackie Ickx, a legend of the game, also an 8-time Grand Prix winner back in the day.
Oh, okay. Okay. See, I didn't know that. So, okay.
Yeah. So that's the fun fact from the weekend.
With that, I've got to give it a 4.1. I mean, what are we doing? Can't disrespect the game.
Pretty forgettable weekend, though. Let us know your comments down below. Could this have been an email? Yeah, just let us know in the comments, TLPs. Look, I
think the drivers forgot that it was race weekend, to be honest with you.
I mean, they showed up. They showed up, you know, but it could have been an email. All right, look, let's move on to the Hungarian Grand Prix. We have so much more to talk about as it pertains to this upcoming weekend. A lot more storylines. And I did want to start here. Kind of an anniversary of sorts for us. This is the weekend on the calendar anyway that we followed to start this whole lap podcast. If you're a carryover from the original, like my personal YouTube channel where we were uploading these things before, and you've moved over here, absolutely appreciate it. But yeah, that's where the old episodes are. That's where season 1 exists, is on my personal channel. It's linked on the YouTube. You can find it. And this was the race that got this whole thing kind of started. Was we walked into the plan of, we're going to do this podcast. We just let's figure out what happens this weekend. And we walked in fresh off of this controversy where Lando Norris had to effectively relinquish first place to give Oscar Piastri a win. McLaren felt that it was deserved. He had done everything he needed to up to that point, but just got kind of stacked.
Wish we didn't do that at this point
in the pit order. And yeah, I wonder. You know what? I'll ask you, as the Lando fan, how do you feel a year later now?
He didn't need that damn win.
He has the exact same amount of wins. as
he could have
Lando
done that.
Norris.
He done it on merit, bro. Like, I get it. It was like, oh, Oscar Piastri's the young guy. Let's give the young guy the win. And it's kind of like, okay. And I already know it. Everybody's going to be like, Kevin, you're a Lando truther. Like, Oscar gave Lando so many wins.
He's a Lando loyalist. Lando loyalist.
Fair. That's a little harder to say. But
what, Lando loyalist?
Like a loyalist. Truther's just easier.
We work in the words business, buddy. Come on. Nonetheless,
yeah.
This win,
we talk for a living.
Win meant something.
We do it very well.
Look, this win meant a lot to Oscar at the time. At the time, we weren't exactly sure that this was going to be something that he could repeat. His first true win didn't come until Azerbaijan for a lot of people, where he defended the hell out of Charles Leclerc, staved him off for what felt like 30 laps. That was with the mini DRS back a season ago. But since then, Oscar Piastri has shored up on the qualifying. He's stacked up some wins completely on merit since then. So now I feel like he walks into this race weekend still pissed from the British Grand Prix. He's already taken care of the dirty work of getting one win in Spa. Now he's walking into the Hungarian ring going, everybody says that I didn't earn this one. If that doesn't give you extra motivation, I don't know what else will. This honestly feels like it has to be a slam dunk kind of weekend for Oscar Piastri now.
I honestly would say for Piastri, even taking the media out of it, like you, Tristan, do you remember when he won? Like whenever when McLaren gave him that win, he didn't look happy about it. Like he was just kind of like, "Hey guys, I appreciate it. Like I appreciate it, but like, okay."
Everybody wants to earn their first race win.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to earn it.
And he'll be the first to tell you he didn't earn that win at all. Like Lando had to do it. Lando was pissed about it. Oscar was he was a little like tilted about it. I mean, did he win? Yes, but like, I mean, Oscar Piastri is not an emotional guy anyway, but we could tell that it was like he could have been without given that win. So even for Oscar Piastri's perspective, he's going to be like a little bit of an FU mentality. Like, no, I'm going to go win this race because I ain't going to have nobody hand me nothing.
Do you think this is the most emotional we might actually see Oscar, considering the circumstances?
He got pretty emotional on the team radio following the win over the weekend. I think he gets a little bit more and more emotional every time he gets a win. It's weird with Oscar, right? Because there is some wins where he's like, "Oh, the car was mega. See y'all next time."
It was a great weekend. The team did fantastic. Yeah.
And then there's some times where he's like, you know, emotional and ecstatic about a qualifying or a race win, and he'll cuss a little bit and he'll give shouts out to the team, and he'll be like, "Look, you know, they said we couldn't do it," or you know, we remember what they said. Like he's a very he remembers things. He keeps grudges for sure. So, you know, each race, each track holds a different kind of significance for Oscar Piastri. It could even date back before Formula One for all we know, right? Where it's like, I never did good at this track and I just freaking won. And now it's like, you know, screw you, right? So I think for Oscar, I do think it will be an emotional race. I really do. I think it's going to be one of those things where Oscar's, you know, he just grabbed the win. He beat the whole field by 0.6 of a second. And he's just like, hey, they didn't have to give it to me this time, did they? Like, I can guarantee you, like, something like that from Oscar would make a lot of sense.
I'm as far as anybody who could potentially pull it away from him this weekend. I mean, who could even contend to really topple him, right? It's only going to be Lando, right? The same car. I mean, I wouldn't say only, but like it feels like the favorite would be Lando, right? Same car. He's going to have the first shot at slowing down the title rival. Like, and Lando's shown that he's got the chops at least on one lap to hang with Oscar, right? I think Oscar, I said this a year ago, that I think Oscar's racecraft is really good if his qualifying was there. And now his qualifying pace is, I would argue, neck and neck with Lando. And again, Lando is one of the fastest guys on this grid. I think it's got to be either Lando, although I don't know if he's going to have the chops to really go. I think Oscar, if he's going wheel to wheel with Oscar, he's going to be like, this guy wants it this weekend. Like, he really wants it.
I would say you can
does that give you extra motivation if you're Lando, right? Where you're like, I know he wants it and I got to want it that much more. right? Maybe that.
I mean, yeah, because if you're Lando, you can be like, look, this is still my team, right? Like, I'm still the one gunning for, like, don't pretend you're the underdog when you're literally leading the drivers, right? Like, Lando is still the underdog here. He's still fighting from behind 16 points.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also that angle. But I would say after Lando, it's like Max and then Charles, just because Max is so good. Even though he's driving a Tonka truck, he's so good. And then Charles, the Ferrari, you don't really know what you're gonna get out of it, but Charles is a damn good driver. So I would say like, Lando and then like Charles and Max are like right there, just as far as how the field could shake out.
I think Max is always a factor. We can have this discussion every single race weekend. This dude could be driving a midfield car for all we know, right? It might just very well be.
He could be driving a car on 3 wheels, and it'd be like, he could still land on the podium.
And he could. He's been that dominant, and he's remained within this title fight kind of as the antagonist for either of these guys, right?
Right.
Showing up out of nowhere to take away a win, right? Like that sprint win in Spa. Probably weren't expecting it. Like the win in Japan, right? He just finds these paths and these ways to win. Or the win in Imola, right? Where he just snuck by, from
just another
on the grid.
Just a quick reminder. Like, hey, I know y'all two are battling 1 and 2, and y'all got the best car on the grid, but I am Max effing Verstappen. So
yeah, like Max is having a pretty strong season considering the circumstances of where the car is.
Yeah,
he's won here twice, and it's not like he isn't familiar with getting pole here either. So I think Max is still a factor. You already mentioned Charles. Charles is ridiculously talented, but the car just hasn't quite been there.
No.
The only other team to win a feature race this year has been Mercedes, and George Russell got a pole position back here in 2022. Lewis Hamilton grabbed pole here in 2023. This seems like a place that Mercedes, they have some level of success here. Lewis Hamilton is the all-time leading driver with wins here with 8. So it's not like Mercedes are walking into the Hungaroring completely out of bounds. They could tune the car, they get it just right. Maybe they're a surprise. And George has been fantastic this year. I would consider him in that ballpark of maybe we get surprised. Although to be fair, with the way that Ferrari have been up and down on the setup window or the performance, I think Mercedes are pretty close within that respect too. But here's my question to the TLPs. Which McLaren driver hits 9 wins first? Who's going to take the top step this weekend? I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. And there's going to be a lot to talk about, I think, following this Grand Prix weekend, because we're going to have a whole summer break to analyze everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But we mentioned
Max. We will do all the analyzing.
Oh yeah, we mentioned Max Verstappen though. I gotta talk about this. Some comments from Helmut Marko to Dutch Sporting Media, all but confirming Max Verstappen is going to be sticking with the Red Bull Racing unit into 2026, saying, quote, "Yes, I can confirm." And remember, by the way, Helmut Marko is one of the key figures for Max Verstappen within this sport. He's a huge reason why he's even at Red Bull. So yeah, again, the quote, "Yes, I can confirm that Max Verstappen will drive for Red Bull in 2026. He told Sport Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, or sport.de. I imagine it's Denmark. So, yeah, with this, or excuse me, not Denver or Denmark, excuse me. I don't know. He basically he told somebody. Yeah, I'm getting my geography all messed up. Whatever. But this is probably the most boring and likely outcome the whole time. There was controversy. Toto and Max are both vacationing in Saradina. Everybody was in Saradina. Heck, I think Sofia Vergara and Tom Brady were there for the Jeff Bezos wedding was in the region. Yada, yada, yada. Everybody was in Saradina during that last little break. But nobody knows what anyone else has in this next regulation. What's going to lead the way with the regulations? Who's really going to be in the front? And I imagine that Verstappen probably still has that exit clause. It'll still be relevant next year. So why leave now and be stuck somewhere for 4 years, 3.5 years potentially, and it not work out? I think maybe he's going to get a lay of the land.
I think, well, one, I want to give props to us for not following or falling into the speculation of really believing the Max was going anywhere. Don't get me wrong, TLPs. We definitely
we talked about it for sure.
We talked about it. We talked about it, and we talked about all the different angles, mixed matching. Y'all got pissed off because we said that Kimi was going to get booted. I remember that. I have nightmares about those comments, but we never really believed
that's my boy. We
wouldn't
do that.
At the end of the day, we were really like, look, it makes most sense for Max to just stay. It's just like it's kind of the house that Christian Horner built. Max Verstappen is just as responsible for that as well. So it made more sense for him to stay. Aston would have to be the one that would pay him all the money. He probably doesn't want to take that leap to Aston. Mercedes, that was the only option. McLaren's locked up. Ferrari's locked up. Nowhere else made sense unless he was going to challenge himself with an Alpine, which, hey, let me just get this straight. I'm here for because I want to see what that looks like. But we all talked about it. And it was like, look, Max is going to stay. It's fun to speculate, but too many moving parts, too much money negotiations. It's just too much. So I think
this clauses, dynamics.
I think this move is best for Red Bull. I think the only thing that
it's certainly the best outcome for Red Bull. I know that for a fact.
I think the thing that I want to know was what was the last straw to Christian Horner getting fired? Was it Max going to the leadership group and saying, hey, I'll stay, he's got to go? Or was it hey, Max, just want to let you know, we are firing Christian Horner. We're bringing up Mekis. And then Max has the decision, okay, do I want to see what the future looks like with Mekis? Does Max like Mekis? Does he have a pre-existing relationship with Mekis? How does that work, right? So I wanted to know, that's what I want to know. And I don't know if we'll figure it out, but I want to know if Max was like, hey, I'll stay. I want Mekis up. Or if I want Horner out, or if he was informed, hey, we're getting rid of Horner, and now he had a decision to make. Those are all of that's what I want to know personally.
I think the truth probably lies.
Make the documentary.
Yeah, we'll know when Drive to Survive comes out. I think the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe a little bit more so
boring.
Maybe I know, but like maybe more so on the side of Jos Verstappen going to Red Bull and saying, look, my kid's gonna go. We're leaving if this guy isn't gone.
Jos Verstappen is the ultimate, like, I get it. He's literally is an F1 driver, like a former F1 driver.
He built the driver, right? Like he programmed him with all the trauma and all the skill, right?
Like Jos Verstappen,
champion.
Jos Verstappen is like the epitome of a living vicariously through my son kind of guy. Like
100%.
Max Verstappen is literally an adult who has his own wife and kid at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Jos Verstappen around him 24/7 like he's his agent?
But he is like that's his management, right? That's the guy who helps negotiate everything when it comes to the track. I'm sure he has I know he has an actual business manager, but what I'm saying is, like, as far as racing and stuff is concerned, he's super close with his dad. His dad's been around the sport for forever, for better or worse. And
right, but like, where's Carlos Sainz Sr.? I mean, Carlos Sainz doesn't, like, I don't see Carlos Sainz Sr. everywhere.
Is there pretty regularly, but Sainz Sr. is there pretty prevalently. Like, I think his manager is also his cousin. So like the family for Sainz are there too, but Jos Verstappen is a very different individual.
Let's just say this. Let's be glad that Max Verstappen is an F1 driver and not an NFL football player, because Jos would be going to the head coach every week and be like, my son needs more playing time.
LeVar Ball of F1, basically.
I mean, if you want a deep cut, look, you want a deep cut, it'd be Odell Beckham's dad. Putting out mixtapes of other bad drivers and being like, you're gonna start him over this guy.
You mean to tell me this guy's better? Yeah, I get it. But I want to ask this too.
The NFL fans, sorry.
But I want to, because we crosstalk NFL all the time into this. You couldn't tell we're big NFL fans too.
It relates more than you think.
It really does. There's some good crossover, but I think really realistically, again, Max is like, look, I don't want to like upend everything here. I got the leadership change I wanted. I can't leave after having that. But B, the exit clause is still going to exist in a year's time. Like, the part of it was that he didn't meet the team hadn't technically met the criteria for him to capitalize on the exit clause. So I think the speculation on what it is that he has to drop below 4th or 5th place in the World Drivers' Championship, or the team drops below 4th place in the Constructors. It's something like that. And neither of which happened by the deadline. So he was committed as far as the contract is considered. But on top of that, he's looking at the situation and going, look, if the car sucks next year, I'll know pretty early. And then we'll start gauging our options again. This conversation very well happens again in a year's time of where's Max Verstappen going to go? What does the future situation look like? And we're going to start seeing how teams kind of structure contracts, right? Because let's say you're Aston Martin. I mean, Lance Stroll is perpetually on a year-to-year contract. You know, his dad does on the team, but if Aston Martin does look pretty good next year, let's say they come out swinging and they're like a P3 in the Constructors and they usurp Red Bull because Red Bull have the new powertrains with the partnership with Ford and they're building their own, blah, blah, blah. Like, that becomes a viable option because you can see the direction. You have the Honda partnership, you have Adrian Newey, all that jazz. Or Red Bull surprise people and they're a little bit better than everybody was expecting. And maybe you do want to stick around because you can still fight within the realm of a championship. It's going to be tough, but you can do it. And you have better leadership.
Yeah.
Or at least a preferable leadership, right? Mercedes, I don't think that Mercedes becomes available again. The conversations around George Russell are that he's in line for a sizable payday, big contract extension that's going to run through.
He deserves it for sure.
Which George has driven fantastically. He absolutely deserves it. And they love Kimi. Kimi's not going to go anywhere. We're going to talk about Kimi shortly. And Kimi's not going to go anywhere. So I think it's just getting a lay of the land of, like, I'd be surprised. It's getting a lay of the land going into 2027. The options might look very, very different. And if Red Bull suck early, the conversations about Max leaving are going to start earlier. They're going to happen a lot faster. And we're probably going to have a lot to talk about early if they suck early.
Here's what I'll say. And then we'll get to the next topic.
Yeah.
I would say it's better for Max, even whether he stays at Red Bull or if he wants to reevaluate his options. I think it's better either way because you can see how these other cars are doing in this new regulation. Like, regulations change everything. I mean, like, what if I'm not hoping for this, but what if McLaren sucks booty cheeks in the next regulation, right? And then the dominance of Lando and Oscar is over, right? Like, Oscar is going to be starting to look for another team. Lando's probably going to be locked in for a while, if I had to guess. But
Oscar signed extensions, but you never know what the contract language of these, really looks like. And
exactly, so you don't know who's going to be successful, who's going to fail, who's going to struggle, like what's going to happen. Williams could be the reigning
speculate as much
champion in the next regulation for all we know. Right. Yeah, so it's all about waiting and seeing. And I think that's exactly what Max is doing. And in my opinion, I think that's what he should be doing.
And we have speculation about who is going to be good next year, who isn't going to be good next year. Everybody's talking about the Mercedes power unit. That seems to be the big topic, is that they're the furthest ahead, right, as far as the power unit development. And early on, those things really do matter. But who knows? Again, at the end of the day, we got to see what the cars even look like, how they perform. That first qualifying next year in Australia, if I'm not mistaken, that's when we're going to start to know. We're going to have actual answers, because we're going to get practice sessions. Great. All these teams sandbag and they run their programs incredibly differently. All we have to go on right now is, what is the FIA given us? What is F1 given us as a model of what these cars might look like? So we won't know until they actually get track. Is this the right decision for Max Verstappen? Should he have stayed? Should he have gone? Where should he have gone if he did leave? I want to know what the TLPs think down in the comments below. I know you do too, Kevin, because, I mean, they give us all sorts of crazy, cool engagement. This is a fun topic still. I think we're going to be talking about Max and his future for a long time.
I think Red Bull going into 26 and beyond, the new regulation as a whole, I think Red Bull is the team that you put the largest question mark next to. TLPs, let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's a good one. But moving on, Kimi Antonelli.
Calm down, okay? Calm down. Calm down. TLPs are going to be on our ass. But I'm going to let you do the talking.
I'm not. Look, it's not like I sit here running a YouTube channel and go, how do I farm the most engagement? No, I did actually get inspired by this, because I got inspired to do this segment because both of us spend a lot of time online. We spend a lot of time in the F1 circles, seeing the conversations. And there was a lot of conversation happening, a lot of talk about whether Kimi Antonelli was ready, like following the Belgian Grand Prix specifically. And I kind of want to engage in it. Rather than sitting in Twitter comments and arguing with people there, I'd rather do it in a much more formal, platform. And I got a whole damn podcast. I'm going to use it. I wanted to ask a couple of questions and kind of break down my stance on them. And I want to know what you think too, since you're not really partisan in this. I can't say that I am, right? The question first, is Kimi Antonelli really prepared for this stage? I still feel like he is. He's dominated every feeder series up to this level. Pair of wins in F2 as well, shown the ability to hit the podium already. And the idea that he suddenly lost the ability to be an F1 talent, I think, is a really wild proposition. And is there too much pressure being put on him? I think partly. I think that's a fair question to ask. Has Mercedes put a lot on his shoulders? Yes, but he's so far succeeded within it. And he's so far exceeded expectations. So I just want to know, what do you think about this? Either of those questions, is he prepared? Is it too much pressure?
I would say, I'll answer your first question. Is he prepared? No, but who is? Right? Like, if you're going to sit here and say, yeah, I've driven F3, F4, everything else, F2 and beyond, and I've won the most out of anybody else, then, how could I sit here and be like, okay, but it's interesting because, how is anyone really ready?
I think those series do prepare you. They do a very good job of showing who's talented, who's not talented. I don't think it's a question of his preparedness. He's this, prodigy level talent, right? Now he was billed to be that. And again, so far he's lived up to that billing, at least in my opinion. But the conversation has been, he's all of a sudden it's too much. And he wasn't ready and Mercedes put too much pressure. Maybe better. Let's line it up a little bit better. Has this been too much pressure from Kimi Antonelli?
One sec.
Oh, okay. Well, here I'll just pick it up and run with it. As far as it being too much pressure, that being the question. In a nutshell, I don't think it's. Excuse me. I think it has been quite a bit of pressure. Don't get me wrong. I think that being in a top team like Mercedes does create pressure, though. I think that being a member of a team that has the potential to win races, that has the wherewithal to fight at the front, and even in a season that they're not expected to win a championship immediately, preparing him with this kind of pressure is, that's kind of the responsibility. If you're Toto Wolff, if you're, James Allison, if you're the members of the Mercedes hierarchy, I think it kind of becomes incumbent of you to prepare with a certain level of pressure. But I think the excess pressure of, we did a whole Netflix documentary. We did, we followed you along for X, Y, or Z with this level of media, the Netflix documentaries, yada, yada, yada. Drive to Survive. I think it adds the extra eyeballs towards things. But at the end of the day, is it too much pressure? I mean, it's a question, but I don't necessarily think that. I don't think that it's quite too much at the moment, at least not in my opinion. As far as what is the problem, I think that is another question as well. I think in a nutshell, the car is the problem. Mercedes has had an all-hands meeting following the Belgian Grand Prix about the development of the car, with it having some massive issues at Spa. And over the last 7 or so weekends, the car has been a mess. It has been an absolute mess. In Imola, dealing with an engine failure, that's on the team. You can't help that if you're Kimi Antonelli. The performance, having a bit of a rough weekend, the adding excess distractions around that weekend, sure, not necessarily helpful, but you can't help the car blowing up from underneath you. In Monaco, a rookie moment with a DNF in qualifying, that's on him. Own that. But even George Russell's engine failed there, which is another symptom of problems at Mercedes. And then they were both bottled up behind Williams. You can't pass in Monaco. It's kind of a mess. But he did finish the race, performed pretty well, all things considered. Then you go to Spain, can't help it. Another engine failure, not on him, driving in the points, having a pretty solid day. I think he's in P6 when it happened, and completely ruined his day, right? That's another point scoring opportunity that in reality is not on him. That's team. But then Canada rolls around. We see the potential, fighting off the McLaren's, performing incredibly well in qualifying. George Russell goes on to win the feature race, and he's hanging in there with the likes of Max Verstappen for a decent amount of time, almost chased down Max Verstappen's Red Bull, and very well could have made this a 1-2, maybe if he had that extra little bit more experience. Then you go to Austria. Rookie moment, locked up, crashed. He owned it. That's another big one on him. Not going to pretend like that didn't happen. Go to Great Britain. Isaac Hadjar crashed into him in torrid conditions, and the team botched the strategy even before that point. Sending the drivers out there on slicks when they were certainly not ready for it, taking those big gambles, and a mess of a day, but that's not necessarily his fault in either respect. He's just in traffic, got crashed, car DNFs. That's also not on him either. Then you go to Spa, rounding things out in Belgium. A terrible setup left him with no confidence, both qualifying sessions, and he finished outside of the top 10, outside of the top 15, even with Lewis Hamilton struggling in Spa. First year guys are going to struggle, whether it's a team change, whether it's a setup issue. Both these guys first year new teams. And not to say that he is, of course, Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton's one of the greatest of all time, but Kimi's got the potential, and he still managed some overtakes on the race day. Speaking to media afterwards, the team owned the issues that they were having. Did not put the blame on Kimi Antonelli. Oh, he's, just not performing to expectations. Oh, he's not this. Oh, he's not that. Kimi's performed admirably. And if anything, they were emphasizing to him to not let it get you down. This is on us. Don't get hung up on it. It's a bad weekend, but that's on the team. That's not on you. You performed well, did everything we asked you to do. So if you're Kimi Antonelli, overall, 2 on you, 4 on Mercedes. I don't think Kimi is the problem. He's having his share of rookie moments. Do not get it twisted. And by all means, he hasn't been perfect. Every rookie has moments, though. Isaac Hadjar just had a bad weekend. The car sucked, right? No one's running to the social media. No one's running to the F1 comment sections to be like, oh, Isaac Hadjar isn't ready to deal with car problems. Nobody can deal with car problems. You put Lewis Hamilton in a car that sucks, he's going to have car problems, or he's going to have issues too. Each one of these guys has little, things that work well for them, things that don't. But I think if you fix the car, the kid's going to fly. I think that if the car is there, he's just going to keep building his experience. At the end of it all, he's an 18-year-old rookie who is top 10 in the World Drivers' Championship. I think he's triple-digit points. If not, he's creeping up to it, or double-digit points. He's doing well. Mercedes are still in the hunt for P2 in this championship behind McLaren, alongside Ferrari. And realistically, I think the biggest deficit they have is just the experience deficit. In a nutshell, heading into this weekend, we're walking into the Hungaroring once again, a place where he won last year, performed incredibly well, performed very admirably, and hopefully the car can help him deliver on a really, really, really good weekend. I'm not expecting Kimi Antonelli to go out there and win, but by the way, he even got a sprint pole position at the Miami Grand Prix. So I don't buy into the discussion that Kimi Antonelli isn't ready. I don't buy into the talk that Kimi Antonelli was rushed, or that this is just too much, or the lights are too bright, or that there's too much pressure. F1 is pressure, like Kevin said. This is a pressure cooker. The best succeed and stick around, and the lesser of the drivers get pushed out. But overall, I don't blame Kimi for most of these issues. I blame Mercedes for having the issues of their own. Some things you can't predict, some things you can mitigate, and some things are rookie mistakes that are going to happen to rookies. Isaac Hadjar has crashed. Isaac Hadjar is at a P20. He's had some good qualities, some bad qualities. That's his competition for Rookie of the Year. Gabriel Bortoletos had some really good moments, had some bad moments. Ollie Behrman, same thing. He's had some really good moments, some bad moments. Liam Lawson, if you still consider him a rookie, has had good moments, and he's had bad moments. And it's up and down the grid. Franco Colapinto, good moments, bad moments. It's up and down the grid. No one's perfect. But at the end of it all, I think that Kimi Antonelli belongs. This is a special, special young driver who's got a really, really, really bright future ahead of him. And we get to look forward to seeing what this guy can do, hopefully for many years to come. I'm a huge Kimi Antonelli fan. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to see exactly what this guy's going to bring to the conversation. And honestly, I really hope he has a lot of success with Mercedes. So moving on from that, Kevin gave me plenty of time to sit here and talk and wax poetic about my favorite driver on the grid this year.
Look,
it's
your favorite driver.
No issues, and it was perfect.
I had to give you your space. I had to give you your time to shine. I mean, you let me go on my little solo runs for McLaren. I was like, look, this is kid. Everybody's coming at him on the internet. I was like, Tristan's got to do his defending.
I got to stand up for my boy. I got to stand up for my boy.
And who better to do it than Tristan himself?
We still got more time. We still got a little bit more to talk about. I want to run through the midfield ahead of this weekend, taking a look at what happened last weekend. We're just going to talk about whatever's relevant, whatever's prevalent in the midfield. Starting off with Williams. Alex Albon had a hell of a drive in Spa, P6. We'll start with your boys. But then Carlos Sainz still weathering his transition. Alex Albon leading the way, of course, with this team. 54 points to Sainz, 16, total of 70. Sainz in an interview with Dazen, he had some criticisms of the team that he, felt were pretty founded. You could say maybe, from your position, maybe you shouldn't be saying some of these things. But to quote him, we're not operating at the level we should be operating at in Formula One. Just some silly problems. That we have to keep improving as a team, and we will, but we do see that when strange things don't happen, we are there in the fight, and we have to keep fighting. A little bit optimistic towards the end.
Look, I'll say this. It's a little interesting coming from Sainz, because Sainz was the big ad. He was the big signing. He was the big, hey,
he was the
crap,
big name that wasn't Lewis Hamilton last year.
Yeah, the Williams got Carlos Sainz. Like, holy crap, they actually did this. But Alex Albon has been the better driver this year.
He's been a dog. I mean,
you can split it however you want. Alex Albon has been the better driver in a Williams car this year.
Yes.
So I think that Sainz may be deflecting a little bit to a point where it's like, look, he just has not had a season that he would like to say, like he hasn't had the season he'd like to have. And he's definitely upset about it. He's getting outperformed by his teammate. So Carlos is definitely pissed, but you can't sit here and be like, oh, we're not functioning as a Formula One team when you're fifth and the constructors points when you
probably shouldn't be, if we're being
probably
honest.
Should be like seventh, and your teammate's putting the car in sixth and you're finishing 18th.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe there's a car difference. Maybe there's a situational difference where Albon's car is tuned perfectly and Carlos is still struggling, but you can't say that as a whole where it's like, oh, Williams is not operating correctly. No, nobody believes that. James Vowles just got extended. Albon's a dog in the car. Like, Williams is putting Formula One on notice necessarily, but they're in the midst of a turnaround. They're in the midst of a turnaround. Yes. Yeah,
they're ahead of
schedule. So Carlos Sainz,
and they're performing well.
Sainz can't sit here and be like, oh, we've got problems that we need to figure out. No, like, Sainz is having a bad year and he's just going to have to figure it out. He's going to have to turn it around.
Outside of being a member of a championship winning team, he has been around the block. He was a Toro Rosso product, went up into McLaren, spent plenty of time at Ferrari, that's pretty much one of the pinnacles of the sport, right? And now he's with Williams. So he's spent plenty of time in different systems. He's driven pretty much every engine there is, right? I think at a certain level, he's reacclimating to life with Williams. This is definitely not at the same level of Ferrari. And I don't think there are very many operations that are close to that level.
Yeah.
And he understands they're in a rebuild. But yeah, so far his transition's taken a little bit longer. I think that the expectations for probably himself, but also the community and even us, was that he was going to walk in and be right at the same level as Alex Albon. And Alex Albon is proving, I think Alex Albon's proving a lot of people wrong in that, oh, he's a good midfield driver, but maybe he's just not at that level. Alex Albon, even through moments where he's been crying and screaming at people on the radio, has shown that he belongs and that he is a really, really, really talented driver, and he's really come into his own. But there's some big changes. It's going to take more time than you expect if you're Carlos Sainz. Just be a part of the process. Be open to learning. Don't be so critical in the media, I would say.
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Though. Yeah, let's walk through the midfield a little bit more, though, because I know we got other things we got to get doing, and I know you guys also have things to do. V-Carb, a tale of two very different days for Isaac Hadjar. He went from who went P8 in the sprint and then finished in dead last place in the feature race. Hadjar seems eager to get to Hungary and, get back on track, so to speak.
Yeah, and that sucks for our boy Hadjar because we were kind of just giving him props a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, hey, no one's talking about Hadjar, and so we started talking about Hadjar and put the commentator's curse on him. It seems,
and then Liam Lawson, by the way, landed a very quiet P8 in the feature race. Looks like he's a lot more at home with V-Carb than the senior team. Landing in the points last 2 out of 3 races. So Liam Lawson's gotten a lot more comfortable, mind you. Interesting little tidbit of information. Liam Lawson has outscored Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, I mean, I don't find that entirely surprising. Yuki he's struggled, but he's done enough to keep the seat.
I think that's a conversation for another day.
Well, I'm not saying for future, and I just think there's too much movement at Red Bull. There's too many.
You're not going to do back and forth.
That's what I'm saying. They're not going to make it. They're not going to do anything this year. Like, hey, Yuki, it's your seat until the end of the year, and then
just see what happens.
Figure it out in 26 and beyond.
I mentioned Aston Martin a little bit earlier in the podcast. Weekend to forget for them. 0 points across both formats, and the worst qualifying performance in team history. P19 for Fernando Alonso. P24 Lance Stroll. Aero trouble, wing trouble.
The Cuban curse.
Everything was just not working for them. So I think they're probably looking at Hungary and just hoping that it gets better.
I want to talk about this for a sec because I was like, I'm going to go on a limb. I want to get P10 points, baby. I'm picking Fernando Alonso. Ever since he said he's the unluckiest driver in the world, I was like, he's kind of done a lot. He's been better every week. I was like, I'm feeling a P10. And what does he do?
P17. Bad weekend to pick Fernando Alonso.
I just kept watching him trickle down the order. I'm like, damn it.
Not ideal. Then let's move on to Haas really quickly. Team principal Aya Komatsu feeling really confident ahead of the Hungarian Grand Prix that I was reading anyway. High downforce nature, twisting turns. He likened it a lot to the Monaco Grand Prix where they had a lot of success. Ollie Behrman, also a big fan of the Hungaroring, as well as Esteban Ocon, who grabbed his only F1 win here in 2021. So Haas might be somebody to watch this weekend, as you consider your P10 picks, Kevin Walker. Yeah, maybe. And then looking at Alpine, another tough weekend for them in Belgium. Franco Colapinto's seat has to be absolutely scorching hot at this point. Jack Doohan.
He's getting butt burns.
Jack Doohan is right there, just waiting to get back in the seat on the sidelines. Valtteri Bottas is a name that's been thrown around a lot in the driver's market, next to the Alpine as well.
Well, maybe. I think we know where Bottas is going.
Maybe I'll get there in a second. Stake F1 though, big weekend for Galberto Bortoleto, P9. They made a questionable decision to pit Nico Hülkenberg, in my opinion. He had a P10 lined up, and then due to some tire degradation, they decided to pit him late. Cost them an valuable extra point. Couldn't quite make it back to that P10 spot. But I think they have a shot to hover back around the P10 spots again as well. Hülkenberg telling media that the Hungaroring suits the car better. So, that might be a little bit better than we were expecting. Stake also not going to be the title sponsor for Audi in 2026. Financial tech company Revolut announcing today that's going to be the title sponsor for the Audi project beginning in 2026.
So wait, what is it going to be?
Revolt, if I'm not mistaken. Revolut is kind of how it's spelled, but I think it's probably Revolt. They're like a finance tech company, so that's going to be their title sponsor, kind of like an Oracle for Red Bull, something like that.
As long as we got one less name to say, that's all I care about. I don't want to. I'm tired of saying
It'll still be Audi F1. That's how we're all gonna remember and know it by.
And Sauber and all that.
Yeah, and then we also had a little bit of. I want to keep Cadillac in the conversation. They're going to be hitting the grid next year too. Rumors are swirling. Cadillac project. Team principal Graham Loudon still yet to announce either driver. Speculations massive around your boy Valtteri Bottas. Nico Rosberg grilling the Mercedes reserve driver of the Belgian Grand Prix weekend about whether or not he was joining the Cadillac team.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
So it seems like, he suddenly becomes deaf. It's kind of crazy. The prospect is there, is what it seems like. Yeah. Now, let's move on to track talk. I'm going to try to make this fast. I'm going to try to make this quick because it's almost been an hour. Said. Maybe, Anyway, 70 laps around the Hungaroring. 4.381 kilometers, 2.72 America miles. Lap record during the race, Lewis Hamilton in 2020, 1 minute 16 seconds, 0.627. Qualifying also going to Lewis Hamilton for the same year at a 1 minute 13.447. Most wins here. Once again, Sir Lewis Hamilton with 8 of them things. DRS zones, you got 2, main straight as well as down between turns 1 and turn 2. Built in 1985, 1986. The first winner, Nelson Piquet, in 1986. A notable moment in which he got past Ayrton Senna's Lotus to earn the first ever Hungarian Grand Prix victory. 1989, let's fast forward a little bit. Nigel Mansell's 12th to 1st performance in a Ferrari. Mansell charged back late to lead past Ayrton Senna in his McLaren while lapping Stefan Johansson. Mansell went on to finish 26 seconds clear of Senna in his McLaren. 2006, Jenson Button's first win amid penalty in place. Amid a penalty, plenty of in-race shenanigans. Late safety cars. Future world champion would earn his first win at this destination. One of your boys, Danny Ricciardo, 2014, changing weather overtakes on Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso in the late stages to take the top step. 2021, Valtteri Bottas takes out the front of the field. The very notable Grand Prix. First lap crash by Valtteri Bottas led to Esteban Ocon's only F1 win on a day where the crash collided, starting with Lando Norris, running into the back of Lando Norris, running into both Red Bulls, knocking out Sergio Perez. Lance Stroll locked up and knocked out Charles Leclerc and also collided with Lando Norris. Hamilton led the way and then lost out because he was the only driver to stay out on intermediates after the rest of the grid dove into the pits to get the slicks on. And, he fought back really, 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 really hard, but I think he only net P3 behind Sebastian Vettel as well. Esteban Ocon, though, maiden and only F1 win. 2022, Max Verstappen is inevitable, starting from 10th place on the grid, fought his way back up the grid to win by 8 seconds over both the Mercedes. And those are your big moments. As far as weather this weekend, you may be asking, Kevin Walker. We got some weather in the forecast.
Oh, yeah? We got some weather?
We sure do. We do have some weather in the forecast.
Okay.
Friday's going to be mostly sunny, slight chance for rain. There's going to be rain overnight. Saturday, let's see, 20% chance of rain during qualifying. Saturday, Sunday, and we're still kind of a ways out, but there's a 60% chance of rain during the race, if I'm not mistaken. Track temperature, 27 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, similar for qualifying the day before, 28 degrees Celsius, then 82 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is your rundown of the Hungarian Grand Prix as we walk into this race weekend. Now it's time for Kevin's favorite segment.
Yeah. Is that what we're calling it? Yeah. Why? No, it's not.
Just no.
No, it's not.
You had a couple of weekends ahead. You got confident. Let you get a little cocky.
I got cocky.
And then
all right. Well, here,
Alonso
look. Let me explain this.
And so did Lando Norris, actually.
Well, first off, I had to pick Lando Norris.
Had to? You can also pick Oscar Piastri.
Right, but that doesn't offset the points.
Yeah, you're kind of climbing out of a hole here, bud.
So there's that. I explained my pick for Alonso and then Collins. It was kind of self-explanatory. So I don't know.
What we got this weekend?
You go first.
All right. My race winner, I'm once again picking Oscar Piastri. Ooh, sexy, very interesting. Never been done before. But I am going to go with Oscar Piastri. I'm going to hold true to what I thought before, which is that he was going to dominate that last weekend, which he didn't quite dominate, but he got the feature race win. He got the one that mattered. And I think he's going to walk into this weekend and he's going to take the top step.
I will take Oscar Piastri as well. I'm tired of trying to offset points. So I'm just trying to get things right at this point. All right, your DNF.
I'm going to go back to the well. I'm going to go back to Franco Colapinto. If it's wet going into turn 1, this is the guy who is primed and ready to make the entire the summer break, incredibly interesting. If he crashes, you know what? I'll make a soft prediction. I'll make a hard prediction. If Franco Colapinto crashes in Hungary in DNFs, either Jack Doohan or someone else is going to be driving the second seat when we come back.
I'm going to go no DNF.
None. Okay.
No DNF.
You think back-to-back, no DNFs?
Yeah, why not?
Living dangerously.
Yeah.
All right. P10,
no DNFs.
You got it locked and loaded, or are you going to let me vamp while you think about it?
Do you know who you're going with?
Yes. I had it written down as it was foretold to me. You know what? I'm going to vamp for a moment.
I had an idea.
Oh, okay. Okay. What is it?
I have a feeling I know who you're going to say, though.
Interesting. What do you want to 3-2-1 this and then say it at the same time?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying I have a feeling I know who you're going to say. It's not who I'm going to go with. I'm gonna go. Well, yeah, we can do it. We can do a 3-2-1. Okay. Do your vamp thing.
Well, no, I was gonna let you think about it. I was gonna talk it up, and then I was gonna waste time, and I was gonna express it out. And 3, 2, 1. Isaac Hadjar.
Carlos Sainz.
All
right. I thought you were gonna say Hulkenberg. I thought you were going to say
I love Nico. I think he could have a really strong weekend here, but something's telling me that Isaac Hadjar is probably going to be sitting around the points. So whether
Sainz is going to have a bounce back. I think Sainz is going to have a bounce back for sure.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we can take that off the screen there, go back to the double box, and let's get this thing going. That's going to do it for this episode, TLPs. We stuck in there for over an hour. We had plenty to talk about, way more than I thought we were going to have to talk about going into the Hungarian Grand Prix. We're going to have so much to talk about following the Hungarian Grand Prix. I can't wait to talk about it next week alongside the one and only Khaki Kevin Walker. If you haven't already, follow us on the social medias. Hit the subscribe button. If you're feeling dangerous, hit the bell to know every single time we're dropping a video here on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us personally. Heck, maybe even shoot us a message. Tell us how much good work we're doing. Let us know how correct we are. We appreciate all the love, all the support. Can't wait to catch you guys next time. Until then, be safe, be well, and let's go racing.